This is an introduction video about Docker in less than 5 minutes. Alright, what is Docker? Simply put, it's a software container platform. Okay, what is container? In this context, it basically packages software that can be run in an isolated fashion in a shared operating system. Only those bundles and libraries and settings and config files you need to get your app running or packaged. So now you'll be asking, the next question is, why do I need it? Alright, so the classic problem we all know, right? So I got to run my app, I need these ABC third-party software, and I set it all up, I compile, I build, everything runs great, I ship it. It runs on production, but it crashes after, maybe for some commands it crashes. But the same command works fine on your environment. So what's going on? What's different? It's going to be a real pain to figure out what's different. But if you built your app on a Docker container, and that same container could be run on the server, then you are practically running the same environment, and so much it eliminates all these kinds of issues. The other classic use is, I have a lot of different things I need to set up my environment. I set it all up, I create a Docker image, and voila, I can just give it to the next guy. He doesn't have to go through all that pain. He's ready to go. He just starts using it. Alright, so I'm not going to go into the details of how you do it. Let's just talk about the workflow, right? So you have a Docker. Now my task is, say I have to write a Python app, and it has to do some small thing or big thing or whatever. It has to do some job. If you were to do it in the in a non-Docker way, you would have to install Python and everything else that comes with it on your laptop. And now you want to go work at home. If you can't take it home, you'll have to reinstall everything on your home computer or a different laptop, right? So whereas with Docker, let's just take a 50,000 foot view. First thing, get the portable Python image. It's basically a package containing everything to run Python. Somebody has built this and published a Docker image for Python. Somebody's already gone through the pain and done it. You just have to grab it, and now you build the app with that Python image. Alright, now let's take a 25,000 foot view. So you have to get an image. How do you tell Docker what images to get, where to get, and what are all the other dependencies, any other libraries? There is a Docker file. It's just a text file. Docker has a certain format. You just follow the format, tell all the details. Second step, write your app. Third step, use Docker to build this new image, which contains this Python image and your app, and then you just have to run it. Once you run it, to quit, you got to control C it, or you could run it in a detached mode, so it sort of runs in the background. And finally, hey, your image is all great. You could save it by just publishing your image in either the Docker standard Docker registry or your own. Now, this is all well and good in dev. What about production? Production, you need other things, like I need to run my app as a service. I need to be able to scale it. You should be able to tell how many instances you run. There's a lot of other things, how much memory it has to use, CPU and all that stuff. How do you do it? Create a Docker compose YAML file. You define all this stuff there. Now you have to initialize something called Docker swarm, then a Docker stack deploy. You have to pass in this YAML file. That's it. You now created a service and it can be started and up and running in production. Of course, you can also remove all this if you want on production using an rm command. Docker also has a visualizer which shows you what are all the different instances running of your stack. This sort of concludes our introduction to Docker. I'm going to make another video with more details.